Okay, I've saved the very earliest color information recording scheme for the last because the oldest one is the most complicated. Believe it or not, the modern versions are easy. The old one is the hardest. So let's take a look at that. This is NTSC. I'm not going to cover PAL, but it's very similar. But we're going to cover NTSC, and we're going to cover both the black and white version and the color version. All right. And so we have a very simple setup. We only need one BNC cable hooked up to our oscilloscope. So this is going to be easy. All right. So we have on the screen now, you can see the vertical sinks. So if you haven't watched my other video on YCBCR, YPBPR, you should go look at that one because this is going to be very, very similar. Okay, this is basically the Y channel of YCBCR. And so we have a video information, which is the luminance channel. So we have the brightness channel, and embedded in that one signal is also the sync pulses, the vertical sync and the horizontal sync. All right. So what we're seeing here is two vertical syncs and one complete frame in between. All right. So let's zoom in and we'll keep going down. So we see a single line, and let me get one frame here. And let me move it over so we can see one frame. Let's see, I need to go back out then. Let's capture one. All right, there we go, and I can zoom in. All right, there we go. So we see one frame. So we see one horizontal sync, and then a stair step up, and then another horizontal sync. There's also a funny little fuzz there just after the horizontal sync. There's a little bit of wiggly up and down, but let's forget that for now. Let's just talk about the signal. If you had a black and white television back in the early days, I remember when it was only black and white and going to color, and you would not see that little funny little wiggly thing there. That was added for color information later, and we'll talk about that. But if you just ignore that, I don't know how to get rid of it on this particular generator here. It always outputs that little signal. But imagine that's just gone. It's just a flat line right there. Then that is television. That is everything that television was, original NTSC. So the horizontal sync, like I say, is embedded, and then it just has a luminance information, and it just gets brighter and brighter and brighter, and that's it. That's the only information there is in the signal. Now, somewhere around 1950 something, I think it was the early 50s. Let's see, I was born in, yeah, somewhere maybe in the mid 50s. They came out with color television, and they wanted it to be compatible with the black and white television. So if you had a black and white TV, you could still receive the color signal. And so so this information here would be fine for a black and white TV, all right? But if you had color information, we'll look at that in a little bit. Your black and white TV still had to be able to see it. Okay, so black and white is very easy. We can show some other things here. Let me turn this on. We can go to let's say multi-burst. That's always a fun one. So this is the one that has it getting faster and faster and faster. Like I said, if you haven't watched my other videos, you need to go back and look at those. And so it just gets faster and faster and faster as we go off to the right-hand side. These are just vertical lines of varying widths. They start out at coarse widths, and they get finer and finer and finer. All right, so what we want to talk about today, though, is the color information. And the color information was a bit goofy, and it was really super clever, though. Absolutely brilliant, whoever came up with it. But it wasn't always the greatest thing, and a lot of people say that NTSC stands for never twice the same color, or never the same color twice, depending on who you talk to. Anyway, but they needed to have color information on top of the black and white information, but they only had one signal to do that with. So what they're going to do is they're going to introduce they're going to introduce a separate carrier. Now let me go back to the staircase, and let's then zoom in. So remember I said there was that little wiggly bit there? Well, that little wiggly bit there is called the color burst signal. And there it is just after the horizontal sync pulse. We have this little wiggly. And I think it's 9 wiggles. And it's at a very precise frequency. I think it's 0.000003% accurate that you have to transmit this particular thing. It is 3.579545 megahertz. Okay, remember that one. You might see some, if you opened up equipment and stuff, a lot of times you'll see that crystal used, because that was the crystal used in a lot of television sets, so they were around everywhere and they were cheap. But yeah, 3.579545 megahertz. And that little color burst there is exactly that frequency. Now what it's used for is a phase lock loop. So there was a phase lock loop in the television. So the broadcasters broadcast that color burst very, very accurately, but you needed to be able to sync to it. So there's a phase lock loop circuit in the television that phase lock loops to that 3.58 megahertz signal. And so your television is now perfectly in sync with the broadcast information, okay? That's what that little color burst, there's no color information in it. It just is the frequency information. That is the frequency you need to lock onto, because the color is going to be encoded in phase information. And so you have to have your television phase locked to the color burst in order to extract phase modulated signals. And so that's why it is there. So that's the color burst. All right, so let's look at a color signal. Let me get a color bar. Oops, I pushed the wrong button on my scope. Sorry about that. There we go. So this is the color bars. And you're going, well, that's it? Yeah, it's one signal, and it has both the luminance information and the chrominance information all in one signal. So let's zoom in a bit. All right. So we see on the left-hand side, we see the horizontal sync followed by the color burst. Then it starts in. Now, if there's just a flat line, that means it's just no color. Okay, that means that there's no information for color, so it's going to display a black and white. If it's a high value, it's a white. If it's a low value, it's a dark. Okay, and so these color bands go from kind of a bright to a dark, and we saw that when we took a look at the other ones. We took a look at the RGB modulation, and we took a look at the YCBCR modulation. We also saw that the color bars went down in intensity. And you can see that here, although there's kind of wiggly bands, each band is lower than the next one, right? All right, so if you take the average of those wigglies, you draw a line in the center of those wigglies, you average that wiggly. That's the level of intensity for that color band, okay? And then the height of the wiggly is the amplitude modulation, okay? That's how big the amplitude is. And then embedded in the wiggly is the phase information. So you have an amplitude modulation and a phase modulation called QAM, quadrature amplitude modulation. But let's zoom in on it. All right, so let's zoom in on these wigglies. We'll go to the first one over here. Okay, so that wiggly is all the same. You see that it's not modulating in frequency, it's the same frequency, but its phase relationship with the color burst has information in it. It's going to be phase shifted according to with reference to the color burst, and that will have the color information. It'll be some phase shift from 0 to 360. And then if we go to the next one, it looks like we have the same thing, but if you see kind of going in between the two, there's kind of some funny business going on there. That's because the phase is changing. So the next group, again, is exactly the same frequency. It's always this 3.579545 each group, but they're phase shifted left or right just a tiny bit, okay? And that phase shift left or right gives you the color information. So each one of these wigglies has a different phase relationship, and I think you can see that there's kind of some funny business that goes on between the two because it has to modify its phase. But once it gets there, it's always the same frequency. So that is how the color information is recorded. It's recorded in amplitude and in phase, and there is some very, very fancy electronics that extracts this information and turns it into RGB. Because eventually, it goes to a CRT that has red, green, and blue phosphors. So somehow you have to take these squigglies and turn them into RGB. So how do you do that? All right, I found this online. I hope it's reasonable. So the information comes in. It's called composite. That type of waveform is called composite. The first thing you need to strip off the sinks, the horizontal sink and the vertical sink. So you strip those off. At the same time you're stripping off the horizontal and vertical sinks, you also strip off that little color burst signal. You let it go over to this burst gate. You know where it's supposed to occur, right? It's just a tiny bit after the horizontal sink, and so you capture that little color gate. I mean, you gate the signal right there, and then you run it into a phase lock loop. So this is the phase lock loop inside your television, and it is phase locked to this reference frequency. All right, and when you calibrate your TV, there's a little phase adjustment. You can go in there and tweak it, make your colors look good on your TV set. The rest of the signal goes this way, though, right? You've stripped off the sink and you stripped off the color burst, but the rest of the signal goes this way. You get rid of the color burst and you send through just the Y information, just the luminance information. And you delay it a bit because you're going to do some things down here, so you have to keep everything at the same time. So you delay this one and to account for these mixers down here. And then you get a Y channel, so you get luminance channel. Then you're going to bring in the same signal, and you're going to again strip off the color information, the color burst, but you're going to let through everything else, and you're going to end up with the little wigglies. Remember the little wigglies? They're going to come into here, and you're going to mix them with the phase lock loop that you have. So you're going to try to demodulate them. All right. So you have the signal and you have the phase lock loop, and you're going to run them into a mixer, and that mixer will give you the phase difference of the two, right? And you're going to do that two different ways. You're going to do it once regular, which is this one, and then that has this phase lock loop going directly into the mixer. You're going to shift it by 90 degrees and send it through this mixer. So you're going to mix it once with the regular signal, and you can mix it a second time with a phase shifted signal, and you're going to get two signals. You're going to get something called I and Q, or I'm not quite sure this is correct, R minus Y and B minus Y, but you're going to get an I and Q. So now you're in color space YIQ. Okay, YIQ is the NTSC color space. You take YIQ and you do some mathematics on it with this matrix multiplication, and you get RGB. And then that gets sent off to the display. So yeah, lots going on in a old color television set or something that receives NTSC color information. Yeah, it's pretty complicated, and it's even more complicated than this. This is kind of a simplistic view of it. Try to go read the specifications. They're pretty wild. But there you go. We have a system that encodes both luminance and chrominance all on one wire. So pretty amazing.